So this is my review after being 1 year sober. It's technically tomorrow, but I'm gonna go ahead and just start talking about the 5 things that have dramatically changed since I decided to quit drinking and all the other drugs I was doing. And just gonna reflect a little bit because I am in disbelief that it's been a year already. And then also just how excited I feel to be making this video, because I remember making a journal saying my goal back in April 18th, 2022. My goal was to complete 75 hard. I want to start there. I will do a year sober, but even putting that into writing, I don't believe I can do it. I can, I will, but I'm starting off small with something I could wrap my mind around. And so to have written that in April 2022 and not had gotten sober until July 23rd, 2023, 23 came to fuck it up. Hey! It took a while, but I think the path to sobriety or quitting something that is so normalized in our society is a struggle, right? But I found it was a lot easier to learn how to not poison myself than to try and learn how to moderate the poison I was consuming. So I want to get started with the 5 things that were huge takeaways. First one leading out to, I was never consistent with anything. The only thing I was consistent with was being inconsistent. I mean, I was consistently drinking, right? I had that going for me. But because of the drinking, me being consistent never allowed me to achieve my goals, to set out to do something and actually accomplish it. I would start a bunch of things and never fully complete them. You know, I'm going to learn Spanish and then would dwindle off. I'm going to go to the gym every day and then would be hungover and not go to the gym. Or I'm going to eat really good and then it'd be 2 a.m. like, okay, Taco Bell tonight, right? Taco Bell was a big one. That beefy 5-layer burrito. Also, I was just not consistent in my relationship. I would have really high highs and really low lows. And my partner was, trying to keep up. But I mean, how could he? I was unpredictable because I was very inconsistent. My behavior was inconsistent. My habits were inconsistent. My routine was inconsistent. I would do really, really good for a few days, sometimes a couple weeks, but then would fall off super hard. And then it would be, just time after time. Time after time. Number 2, naturally started to drift away from people who were doing less. And by less, I don't mean like doing less with their life, just were your regular drinkers. Like, it wasn't like I couldn't be around people who were drinking. It bothers me 0% because this is my decision and I don't like to push my agenda down people's throats. But what I find is that you just naturally start to drift away from the people that you regularly used to drink with because you are evolving. Not to say they're complacent, but when you do the same thing over and over again, that is a form of complacency. And when you are evolving, you want to be striving for greatness, and different relationships just happen to start to happen. And different doors start opening up and different opportunities, and you're more aware of the things that you're doing and saying, and awareness of time is huge. You're very time conscientious because you're like, oh my God, there's so many more hours in the day now that I'm not drinking a lot of them or hungover or smoking weed. And slowly starting into my morning, I'm actually like alert and ready to go as soon as my eyes pop open. So you slowly start to drift away from your old friends, unfortunately. Not all, but majority of them. Number 3 was the highs weren't as high at first because your dopamine levels are leveling out, regulating themselves. But by the time they regulate themselves, the highs are way better than the quick drunken highs, because those are highs and then extremely hard crashes into your lows. Whereas it's a more gradual upcoming to your highs for when you're in a sober mind frame. Like, you start to get those life highs, and those are gradual, but once you reach them, you're like, this is amazing. And your lows are not as low as when you're drinking, because you don't have guilt, shame, or you're not in that level of apathy. You're just like, all right, my lows are normal, right? What comes up must come down. I can recognize I'm in a low right now, but it's going to come back up. Like, I just got to give myself compassion and just play out through the day, right? There's so many moments in the day, and you realize that there's no bad day. It's just there's so many moments, and how can you turn that day around by one bad moment, right? So that was number 3. That's something that I really recognized changed a lot, and I really enjoy the life highs, because you're, fulfilling your purpose and you feel good more often than not. Number 4, the confidence within myself. When I show up, it's me. When I show up, when I say things in a video, or I'm just out with friends or out with colleagues, or just spending time out in the real world, like, it's 100% me. Whereas before, I would drink and it would be a different version of me, a more amplified version of me, but it wasn't who I was really at the core. I become louder, more obnoxious, a little bit more outspoken, but not in a positive, more in a negative sense. So it felt like an imposter syndrome. Like, I needed a drink so that I could be that version of me that everyone expects me to be. But at the end of the day, in order to keep up with that illusion, I also had to keep up with drinking. And then that's where it became very damaging. I didn't want to be more confident or have an easier time to build connections, or, be able to relax, or with a substance. I wanted to be able to do all that. Just me, baby. And I learned to. It took a little bit of time, but you eventually learn how to do it on your own. Like, alcohol robs you of the ability to do that at first, because you have this crutch to lay on. Oh, I don't need to actually be confident. I'll just drink and then I'll be confident. I don't actually need to build connections. Like, first let me get a shot or 2 shots or a glass of wine in me, then I'll build better connections. Then this date will go smoother. Then this encounterment with this person will go better. But, I see it happen a lot on first dates. People have these first, second dates where they're drinking heavily, and then they sober up and like, I don't know, like, I'm just not feeling what I felt, the first couple of times we hung out. I was like, well, you were drinking. So there's that. And then the last one, forced to find meaning and purpose in life. Because you have so much more free time, you are really forced to find the things you like to do. Otherwise, you're like, well, what the do I do with all this time? So I was forced to find meaning in my past, why things happened the way that they did. Before I'd felt cheated, and it would be the thing that justified my drinking. Like, oh, this thing happened to me, and have a victim mentality, a little victim mindset. Whereas now I found meaning in the things that had once hurt me, and allow me to catapult me into the version of myself I am now, where I'm resilient, I'm headstrong, I'm ready to take on any challenge. If anything, I'm praying for them, because I realize that in those challenges is an opportunity for me to grow, is an opportunity for me to challenge my mind. And it's in uncomfortable times that you really see that growth happen. It's not when we're in our most comfortable times in life that we grow. It's in the uncomfortable times. So then finding your purpose, dwindles away from that. I realized that my meaning for everything that I've been through, there was so much addiction with my family, and there was so much darkness, or just not bright moments. I had a lot more dark moments growing up than I did bright. Not to say my childhood was horrendous, right? I had a pretty okay childhood. I think it's subjective, right? I think we all struggle in some degree, just trying to figure out life and its meaning. And what I took from the meaning of mine was that I was put here to help people. I was put here to help people find their way out of those dark times, and not use alcohol or any other drugs to do so. Because you could try to find your solution at the bottom of a bottle, but I guarantee ya it's not there. It's only going to amplify and multiply your problems, right? And those feelings that you're avoiding, it's like the more you resist, the more those feelings will persist. Like, they will catch up to you at some point or another. And as your body slowly metabolizes alcohol or other drugs less and less, it's a lot more likely for you to have to deal with them later on versus just facing it now. And that could be challenging, but you don't have to do it alone, right? Luckily for you, right, you're watching this video, if you're still here, I've created a community to do so, because I found when I was struggling in silence, it was a lot harder than when I had voiced what it is that I was going through. And then I realized how many other people were going through the same, if not a little bit different situations than I was, right? Trying to learn how to cope with our feelings when all we've ever been taught is drink it away. You're angry, drink. You're sad, drink. Your boyfriend cheated on you, drink. Opposed to, well, let me sit with this and let me ask myself, am I any to blame? And if I'm not, can I change it? And if I can't, can I accept it so I can move on? So if you're somebody watching this video and you are struggling with alcohol, I would love to invite you to join my community. All you have to do is click the link in the description, and I can teach you not only how to cope with your feelings and set up a better life worth living, right? Where you're at the best version of yourself, living the best version of your life. Are there going to be challenging days? Absolutely. But that's why you have this community, to not only be able to open up and express yourself, but to find solutions. Because if there is a problem, there is a solution, right? Unless you're dead, right? Then there is no solution. It's done. It's a done deal. So the solution either relies on, a call to action, or just accepting what you cannot change and doing your absolute best to find the meaning in it. And that really is truly the hardest part. So if you are like me and want to live a life without alcohol, without any other drugs holding you back anymore, click the link in the description and we are going to book a call so you can join the community today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope that it helped at least one of you.